Okay, and we are live. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to Nerd Culture Clash. I've got some really fun topics for you guys tonight. We've got a bunch of Star Wars news this week, as well as reports on an alleged test screening of Wonder Woman bombing. Ratings continuing to fall on CW's Batwoman. And we take a look at, if time willing, we're going to take a look at Jonathan Hickman's X-Men restructuring. There's some interesting stuff going on there. And I'm going to do a review for DC's Tales from the Dark Multiverse, The Death of Superman. And that's a lot to cover. So hopefully we don't go off on too many tangents, but that's kind of what we do because that's kind of how we roll around here. And if you don't believe me, just go.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't.
If you don't believe me, just go watch any of our episodes or go watch this when watch me when I'm on the Wrestling Council, because that's all we do is go on tangents. But as always, I'm your host, Comic Book Bob. Joining me as always is my co-host for Nerd Culture Class, Tom the Immortal Cummings.
Hola.
And today we're also joined by our good friend Fine Ass Frank.
Bonjour, mon ami.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Actually, one thing I wanted to talk about this real quick. This is something that just popped up, but Bane creator Chuck Dixon responds to Bane's death in Tom King and DC Comics Batman. So, if you've been following this channel, you've been following pretty much most comic book channels. Tom King's run on Batman has been, what's the word? Dramatic. It's there are some people that love it. There's a lot of people that freaking hate it, and it was so. In fact, it got so vitriolic at one point that Tom King, whose run was originally going to be 100 issues, was cut down to 86. Basically, the sales on the book started to fall. You guys I've talked about this several times. I'm not a fan of where he's taken Batman. I actually kind of like Tom King. I think Tom King is one of those writers. I've said this many times before. He needs a strong editorial hand to get the best. Well, that's the way a lot of writers are, though. A lot of creators, they need somebody to help distill their work down and get the best out of them. Tom King is one of those people. When he had a really good actor, his Batman run started off pretty good. The Button was a great story. But he had a falling out with his original editor, and it was from that point on, he lost the guy that was going to push him, and he got somebody that just rubber stamped whatever he wanted. And it has not been good since. The last issue, which was, oh my god, we talked about this last week. Batman 72. I was so I can't defend the guy anymore. I'm so upset with that, with what he's done to this character. But one of the things that happened, and now we can actually talk about it because it's not really spoilers anymore. And if you haven't read it by now, sorry. Bane died. Bane got shot in the head by Batman's father, which was yet another attempt by King to do a shamalama what a twist moment. And it was like, originally, it was like, oh no, Batman's dad is the guy who's running the show, or nobody knows who's running the show. Oh no, it's Bane. Bane's been manipulating everything from the beginning, and then no, it's actually Batman's dad who's been manipulating everything from the. It's like, oh god, just end it, please God. Can I have Batman, a Batman who's actually heroic back, please? But anyway, Chuck Dixon, the guy who created Bane, made a response to King's treatment of the character that he helped created. So let's take a look at that. Legendary comic book writer and creator of Batman villain Bane, I almost said Vane. I swear I know how to talk. Chuck Dixon responds to the news that in the latest issue of Tom King's series, Bane is killed. Now, again, this is comic books. You know Bane's coming back at some point.
Yeah. Nobody stays dead.
But for the moment, though, this is kind of like, yeah. So, and not only did Batman's dad kill Bane, he shot Batman in the stomach. He shot his own son, which this book is all over the place, man. Like 1 minute he can't shoot his grandson, who he says he doesn't have much of a connection with, but in the next he shoots his own son.
Maybe he just didn't like him.
Anyway, Chuck Dixon responds to Bane's death via YouTube. Dixon states, Graham Nolan and I created Bane, but we only own a itty-bitty, teeny-weeny piece of it. The rest of it belongs to DC Comics. They can do to Bane whatever they want. They can kill him, shred him, regender him, whatever they want. He goes on to account what happened in King and Jane's Batman 82 with Bruce Wayne and Bane getting into a wrestling match before Bane is shot in the head. He then states, well, he's as dead as a comic book character can be. That's exactly my point right there. He's as dead as a comic book character can be. I should know I've killed a few, and I brought them right back. I killed Oliver Queen. I killed the Joker twice. I killed Mr. Freeze, and he stayed dead for years, and then he came back. So Bane is temporarily indisposed. I agree with that. I pretty much agree with this statement.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, the shooting Bane was not the thing that got that I had an issue with. It's what he's done with Batman, you know, I just. By the way, speaking of Mr. Freeze, the story they're doing with him right now is really cool. But Dixon then notes that Bane isn't actually dead, despite being executing King's Batman. He explains, but he's not dead. No comic book character can ever be dead, especially a character like Bane. Against all odds and against any crazy dreams I had, Bane became a household name. He joined the iconic Rogues Gallery of Batman, the greatest comic book character of them all. I agree with that statement. So consequently, the greatest Rogues Gallery of them all. He then goes on to talk about how when he first created Bane, God, he looked so weird. He looked like a wrestler. So he concludes, it doesn't worry me. Bane ain't going nowhere, my friends, and I'm not upset about it. Honestly, I don't think anybody really was upset about it. It was just the thing that they weren't upset about him being killed. They were upset about the fact that
the whole plot at that point was kind of
the whole blender. Yeah, it's just like, okay, so nothing that has happened up to this point matters or makes any sense. It's just bring on issue 86. It can't get here fast enough for me. But I just wanted to touch on this one because I saw this and I was just like, oh God, more reminders of that. I have been a Batman fan since I was 12, like a legit Batman fan. I mean, everybody watched the cartoons and stuff like that when we were kids. Everybody did that. But I've been a legit Batman fan since I was 12 years old. This freaking run by Tom King broke me. I stopped picking up Batman for the first time in like 25 years. So, wow. Yeah. I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, I'm not going to pay almost $4 or $5 a pop to watch, to just desperately hope that somehow he's going to pull the ending of this thing out of his ass. But have you guys, Frank, I don't know, have you been reading any of this stuff or?
I have not. How long has Tom King been on Batman?
2.5 years.
Gee.
Yeah, about 2.5 years.
Probably nearing the end of his run on Batman.
Oh no, he's got 4 issues. Yeah, this is Batman 82, so there's 4 issues left.
For his run to be over.
Originally, it was supposed to be 100, but like I said, the sales dropped. They started dropping. Fans were not happy, so DC went, because that's the thing DC does. Whenever things get bad, there are certain things that DC can depend on. And one of them is Batman.
Hello, Abe.
Batman always sells. Hey, what's up, Abe Sapien? Thanks for stopping by, brother. Appreciate it. So.
Well, my big question is, do you know there's only 4 issues left. who do they have lined up
after
that?
Oh God, what's his name? James Tinian the Fourth, I believe is his name. Who's pretty good.
Okay. Well, let's hope he does a better job.
Yeah. The thing is, like we were talking about, like it's like Snyder took him too far in the other direction, where he became the Bat God, where he became contingency man, like nobody could touch him. You know. Which, I mean, again, I'm a Batman fan. I love the fact that Batman is a badass, but he shouldn't be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like I've always said that the two greatest things that Batman has is not his physique. It's not even his intelligence. It's his will and the fact that there's a line he won't cross. It's the heroic part of him. Like everyone talks about, well, he's a billionaire and he's got all this stuff. If you know the character as well as I do, you know that he would eventually have become Batman no matter what. It would have, even if he'd been born penniless and broke, he still would have eventually become Batman. It just would have taken a little longer.
Yeah. He might look and act a little more like Rorschach, but
yeah,
he'd still be Batman.
But then King, so Snyder kind of took him in the wrong, like too far in the other direction. It was like, okay, dude, now you've got him like defeating gods. So, but then King comes in and he goes in the exact opposite direction, and he just makes him ineffectual and weak and just unheroic. And I'm like, there's nothing heroic about this Batman. So I can't wait for this run to be over.
And that is like Batman and Superman both. You really got to have that. You know, and people complain about Superman being a Boy Scout, but he really kind of has to be.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's it's interesting you bring that up, because when I do that review for that Tales from the Dark Multiverse, the Death of Superman book, that's something that gets touched on in there. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of what happens there. So that's interesting. I like that that's cool that you brought that up. Okay, but we got a lot of stuff to go through, so we got to move on here, man. Okay, so next up, alleged Wonder Woman 1984 plot details leaked after October test screening called a disaster. Now I actually liked the first Wonder Woman movie. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Especially for a DC movie, it was really.
It was one of the bright spots, man.
Yep.
That and Aquaman.
Yeah, but so I'm actually I don't like, you know, we've said this multiple times on this show. We don't root for people to fail. Nobody wins when these projects fail. But you gotta have your head on a swivel with these movies, man. But let's go ahead and dive into this a little bit here. The latest test screening for Wonder Woman 1984 held last month is meeting with a mixed reaction that doesn't bode well for the film. According to Cosmic Book News, words thrown around to describe 1984 include goofy, slow, and plot heavy. Now, goofy, I am not shocked by, because the screens that I've seen of this movie, I'm like, it's like they went in the complete opposite direction from the first film. The first film was very much drenched in war. It was set during World War One.
It was very serious.
It was very serious. Which
now,
is good.
It did have its moments, but it wasn't goofy.
Right.
You know,
and that's the way a superhero movie should be, I think. I think the original Avengers movie, I think, is a good template for the tone of a superhero film. Unless it's a Batman movie, and then it could get as dark as it wants to be. But for most superheroes, including Wonder Woman, there has to be like it's, you know, do your serious stuff, but every once in a while you got to break things up with a joke. The problem is when you go too far in the other direction and you start hitting Guardians of the Galaxy territory, which the first Guardians of the Galaxy was a great movie. I hated the second one.
Sort of like Superman 3. Superman 3 was with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
That was straight up goofy.
Yeah, it was awful. But
anyways, back to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, back to what we're talking about. Yep, tangent. According to Cosmic Book News, words thrown around is okay, goofy. McLoin writes, Redditors note this version of Wonder Woman 1984 received mixed reactions, as some felt it came off as really goofy, really campy, and simple, while others offering it's too slow and plot heavy. The fact that they cast what's her name, the comedian
from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
Cheetah, right?
Is it Kristen Wiig?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the fact that they cast her as Cheetah, that immediately sent warning signs through my brain. I'm like, no, that's not good. But then get back to this. Not only did Redditors provide their reaction to this test screen, but they also revealed a number of alleged plot details. Max Lord's powers. The source of Max Lord's powers is reportedly a magic stone. Oh God.
I read this. This is really good.
It can grant wishes, but has a monkey's paw effect that gives them an added curse, and the curses feed Max Lord's power.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Already getting goofy.
Yeah. Wonder Woman Steve Trevor. Diana gets Steve Trevor back by accidentally wishing him alive again. The problem is, as we reported months ago, Steve is in the body of another man only she sees as Steve. Her wish also costs her some of her invincibility, as bullets and knives can now... Jeez, God damn it. Oh, I didn't read this until just now.
Keep going. It gets even better.
Oh my God. But it might be much more than just her invincibility. One user who claims to have seen the touchscreen notes, Diana is fairly powerless through most of the movie because she lost most of her powers due to making a wish on the stone, since it works like a monkey's paw and each wish extracts a price from the wisher. Yeah, so for those that fight, she fights mainly using the lasso because it's the only thing that hasn't lost its power. So basically, there's nothing superhero in this superhero movie.
Except the lasso, apparently.
Oh, for God's sake.
The lasso shoots lightning bolts.
Oh, my... Oh, what?
The lasso shoots lightning bolts.
The lasso appears to have gotten an upgrade, now has the ability to fire off bolts of lightning. Also losing the power to fly, she and Steve go after Lord McLoin, swears, in a plane which Diana can turn invisible. Oh, God, I'm about to have a freaking aneurysm.
Wait to get to the end. It's even better.
Cheetah's powers and role. Lord's Rock also gives Barbara Nerva with the power of the cheetah, since she wants so badly to be a hero. The power Cheetah obtains allows her to leap around at super speed and hurt people with her claws. They also add that Cheetah also gains superhuman strength, and there's a scene reminiscent of a scene with Brazilian Umbrella where she cleans and jerks about 1,000 pounds of gym to mention everybody there. However, they're not impressed with Wig's outfit or her power. They state, I didn't find her particularly powerful or menacing looking. She just looks like Kristen Wiig in a cat suit, or I like to call her a cat's Jesus. Barbara eventually goes back to normal with everything else after a big fight where Max undoes his wishes by mistake. If this is real, this movie is a pile of dog shit.
Is there more?
Oh God, I don't want to.
The bad man, stop.
I know there's more, because if not...
Steve goes away too, but that's not the end for Steve's unwitting host, and Diana McLean explains with the analogy to a Brad Pitt movie. We're not done yet, as the flick apparently rips off a Meet Joe Black as the guy that Steve Trevor was possessing. He doesn't remember anything, but strikes up a conversation with Diana, and she agrees to go on a date with him. This is stupid. As ridiculous as these alleged plot leaks sound, there might be some credibility to it, as the alleged Wonder Woman 1984 test screen leaks have been removed from its original post on Reddit with a message that reads, removed by Reddit in response to a copyright notice. Patty Jenkins positive about previous test screening. After a previous test screening in May, Patty Jenkins was extremely positive, and you know that she wanted to release the film earlier than its summer 2020 release date. Yeah, I'm going to look at what Abe's saying here, because I need a break from this for a second. That line from The Incredibles that Syndrome says rings true here. Yeah. When everybody's super, nobody is. Yeah, that's actually been an argument that I have put forward. I call it the syndrome. Um, that's an argument I put forward when we had like 5 Hulks. We've got like 1,900 Spider-Men. I don't know how many freaking Wolverines we have now. I think there's at least 3. Um, yeah, I agree with that statement. God, I feel like it's just like chewing tinfoil.
You want me to go on? Because
No, she
I know
states,
more.
and now I've just Serena. Yeah, you can do it in a second so that I can stop. I feel like I'm punching myself in the nuts.
Well, I got to say here, though, that it does sound like Wonder Woman 1984 is a good title for it because it sounds like a movie that would have been made in 1984.
Yeah, like what was that one that you made me you made me watch? No, the one from Australia about saving the local bar.
Oh, Starstruck. Yeah.
Yeah, this
That
remind.
that was
Yeah.
about 1980, but yeah, that's on par with that.
And now I've just screened a version of the film, and I'm like, oh my god, can we move it back up again? I'm dying to release this film, but of course it's good and it's fine, but it's frustrating to have to wait. Yeah. Oh dear sweet merciful baby Jesus. Yeah,
Hey,
go ahead, Frank. I don't want to talk
right.
about this anymore.
It gets even better because what I heard is Maxwell Lord sends up satellites to control everybody to make a wish because that's how he gets his powers. But then he decides he needs to make a wish that he never found the stone. So everything that happens in the movie doesn't happen.
So it's 2 hours of just like complete wasted time.
2 hours of it never happened.
She doesn't lose her powers. She doesn't meet Steve Trevor, but she goes out with the guy who looked like Steve Trevor.
You know what this reminds me of? This screams, hey,
Enterprise.
we want to do we want to do a sequel to Wonder Woman, but we don't want to pay a whole bunch of money, so can we just do a thing where she loses all of her powers? That's what this feels like. This is if this is real, this is beyond stupid.
It's like it's a
yeah. No, Abe,
sequence movie.
Abe, you're exactly right. This is like a jacked up version of The Notebook. It's her talking to her dead boyfriend. Oh my god. Of all the things you could do, they could have done a movie with her fighting Cersei. Like her main enemy. They could have done that. Cheetah should be a half human, half cheetah monster. She gets her powers from an evil cheetah god. She's a freaking archaeologist. That's she. Oh god, it's not rocket science. God, it's just so stupid. Oh, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's go to something else. It's bad news, but it's not as bad as this. Ruby Rose and the CW's Batwoman continues to bleed viewers after episode 5. Who'd have thunk that? Oh, all right. Give me a second. I need to recompose myself. I watched 3 episodes of this show and I couldn't do anymore. I just couldn't. It really sucks because Batwoman is actually a very interesting character. We've talked about this on the show a couple of times before. The way they did her in the book, like when they first brought this character out about 4 or 5 years ago, they were like, look, we don't want this character to just be female Batman. We want to give her a lot more of her own thing. And in the comics, she is her own thing. And like we talked about in the comics, she makes some pretty jacked up decisions sometimes that puts her at odds with people. The story that this entire show is based off of, which by the way was only like a 3 or 4 issue run, but this entire series is going to be based on this thing. That right there should tell you how flimsy it is. She does something that literally puts her so at odds with Batman. He literally tells her, you screw up one more time and you're done. It's not like, hey, you have your own rights and everything. It's like, no, you screw up one more time and I will make sure you stop forever. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. This show is just the acting is so bad. I feel bad for Ruby Rose because she really is perfect for this character. It's just the writing on this show is beyond vapid. None of the characters are likable. It's just terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. Ruby Rose's Batwoman continues to bleed viewers after the premiere of episode 5. Mine is a long and sad tale. So basically, the first episode debuted at, I think it was 1.8 million viewers, which is the lowest debut of any of the CW comic book shows. It's also the lowest debut for any of the shows this season. So it's not just bad for the CW superhero shows, it's bad for the CW period. According to TV series finale, Batwoman's 18 to 49 demo rating stayed steady at 0.30 from week 4. However, the show's total viewership declined from 1.287 million to 1.16 million. So this thing is starting to get to the point. Yeah, that's bad.
That's a big drop. Yeah.
Yeah. That means the show lost over 127,000 viewers between episodes 4 and 5. It's almost a 10% decline. And from its debut, which is at 1.8, that's about that's like a 45% decline.
Yeah.
So it's bad. The show's premiere saw 1.86 million viewers. That means that since the premiere, the show has seen 700,000 people leave. Yeah, that's a 37.6% decline. Batwoman is not the only CW Arrowverse show that is bleeding viewers. Supergirl Season 5 premiered with 1.263 million viewers. With the debut episode of Episode 5, Dangerous Aliens, the show's total viewers is at 783,000. The ratings for the show have fallen from 0.37 at the premiere to 0.2. Wow, that's bad. Supergirl has lost 480,000 viewers since its premiere episode. The show has seen a 38% decrease in its audience since premiere. Dude, I stopped watching this show a long time ago. The last episode that I saw a trailer for, the effects on it literally looked like something that a student film would do that they were going to put up on YouTube. It was that bad. It was bad. I could do better. I who haven't done any 3D effects stuff in like 10 years could do better than what I saw. And that's not me talking on my ass. I literally could. Black Lightning is also struggling to maintain its viewership. The show's latest episode, The Book of Occupation, Chapter 4, earned a 0.17 rating with 524,000 viewers. Wow. That's down 14.24%, which saw 611 viewers tune in with a 0.21 rating. Wow, damn. Black Lightning premiered with 891,000 total viewers with a 0.32 rating. The show has lost 41% of its audience. Yeah, ever since the CW came out with this thing where they're like, we are going hardcore identity politics, and the guy who runs it basically said that their demographic was basically 50-50 men and women. They're like, yeah, we don't want the men. Like the guy, I'm not making this up. The guy literally said, we want to be more like 2-to-1. And I'm like, do you not know who likes superheroes? I mean, women do like superheroes, but there's a lot more men that like them than women, and you're catering to the wrong audience if this is what you're doing. I mean, if you had a 50-50 audience, that's like exactly what you should want. But yeah, Abe says all the feminist watching numbers on Supergirl crazy. Dude, it's not even that. Nobody's watching that show now. That show is literally bleeding friggin' it's bleeding viewers. The only two shows that still maintained a decent rating viewership was The Flash and Arrow. All the other shows have struggled pretty much from the start. Was it the Legends of Tomorrow? That's been on the bubble for being canceled for a long time. That thing's not going to make it. I can almost guarantee you that one's not going to make it. The Flash has seen some positive numbers with this latest episode. Their We Blood debut with a 0.52. Yeah, see. and a total viewership of 1.479 million. That's up 7.17 from episode 3, which saw 1.38 total viewers and a 51. Yeah, Arrow's dropping in viewership, but it's still kind of it's kind of like maintaining. Because this is also the last season for Arrow, and it's only got a 10 episode season, so it's gone. But the Flash is the only one that's staying strong, and yeah, the CW needs to get their head out of their ass. Now it does sound like at some point somebody basically went to that guy and said, "Hey, you need to stop saying stupid crap like that, and we need to start figuring out a way to get that male demographic back because our show's ratings are dropping like stones." Because they announced a new Superman and Lois Lane television show with the guy who plays Superman on Supergirl.
I'm not feeling good about that.
Yeah, I don't understand why DC has such a hard time figuring this crap out. I really don't.
Well, they make such excellent superhero cartoons with today's technology.
Right?
You can pretty much still do that live action. Why don't you just do that?
Yeah, exactly. Do what you did with Arrow and the Flash in the first couple of seasons. That worked. Do that. And I also think, well, part of it is also I think that they made too many shows. I think Arrow and Flash should have been the only two. I think they should have had like an ensemble show for the rest of it. You know, they could just like do storylines for each of them. You know, something like that, like Tales from the Multiverse or something like that.
Yeah.
5 shows is too much. It is 5 shows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 6 shows. Yeah, 6 shows is way too much. It's too much. It's one of the reasons why I think Marvel doing all these shows on Disney Plus. Yes. I think that might be they're limited run shows too though, so that's not too bad. But
okay, so they're going to pick an arc, do an arc with the character, and then move on.
Yeah, and if they do any more, I think it's just going to be kind of like added on. You know, if it proves to be effective. But yeah, I mean, Batwoman is so bad, dude. And I gave it a legitimate chance. This, if you want to know how bad this show is, there's a YouTuber called Heels versus Babyface. He's a big gamer. He does a lot of World of Warcraft. That's why he's called Heels versus Babyface. But he's been doing a blow by blow of Batwoman, and he does it better than I could possibly do it. And he's actually willing to take the hit. I'm not. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really bad. But all right, on to something better. C-3PO actor Anthony Daniels confirms character will live on past Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so you know, if you've been keeping up on any of the Rise of Skywalker news, you know that there's a lot of bad. The leaks that came out about five months ago were pretty much confirmed with the trailer. And one of the things that had everybody upset was the apparent wiping of C-3PO. Basically, it's killing another classic character.
Well, although seriously, how many times has C-3PO already been wiped?
He was wiped one last time, right before A New Hope. But since A New Hope, he's been steady. He's been the same. The reason why he was wiped from the prequel trilogy was because of the connection to Anakin and all that stuff. That's why he was wiped for that. But he's been the same character ever since. But anyway, C-3PO actor Anthony Daniels confirms that his character will survive Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. In an interview with the Radio Times about his new book, I Am C-3PO, Daniels details that he believes he won't be the last actor to play C-3PO. Yes, I quite countenance that. There are people wandering around Disney, these theme parks, dressed in rather better suits than mine. They seem to move a lot more easily. He continues, I absolutely admit and accept that, and quite right, he is too good a character, too big of a character to die with me, and Disney paid a lot of money for him, you know what I mean. They got their money back. They've got to get their money back somehow. You know, we'll stop making crap movies. Daniel's statement echoes the words from his book where he hopes that C-3PO would be able to live on without him. He writes, I surely recognize I will someday leave the stage. I hope I will do so in the knowledge that I have imbued C-3PO with enough life that with the love of the fans, he will go on without me. And they could, and honestly, with what they're doing with deep fakes with voices and stuff and CGI, they could keep doing C-3PO forever.
Well, and the thing is, one thing Disney has always been good at is replacing its voice actors with somebody that sounds the same as the previous voice actor. They do that very well. C-3PO, you know, the character is in a suit. It really is the voice that brings him out. Mm-hmm. So as long as they get somebody else that can do that voice, then it, you know, yeah, he's a robot. He could literally be the same character forever.
Yeah, and they actually did like good voice work with Peter Cushing's Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. And we've already seen some actors have been replaced. The guy right here, Jonas Suotomo took over for Peter Mayhew for Chewbacca. Mm-hmm. C-3PO actor would also detail the importance of C-3PO to the Star Wars films. He's the breadcrumbs that help you recognize as you follow the path that this is a Star Wars path, and you continue. And that was George Lucas's original intention. C-3PO, R2 and 3PO would be the common man. Using the common man as a trope in a piece of literature is not a new thing. If you are given a hero or something you recognize to hold your hand, if you will, through the story, and how lucky is that I got that part. That is kind of the thing. These two have been, R2-D2 and C-3PO have been like the connecting tissue between all of the movies. C-3PO is expected to take a bigger role in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker compared to his role in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. At Disney's D3 Expo, Daniel stated, I'm front and center in this one for a lot of it. That makes me feel very happy and very excited because the stuff we do is magic, the inventiveness superb. And so for me and for 3PO, this is a very good goodbye moment. Enjoy. I don't know how much people are going to enjoy that. Some people are pretty upset that it's basically it's like killing him without killing him. Because he's going to lose all of that history and all of those memories and those things, that connection that he had. But it seems a little unnecessary. But I honestly don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm so disconnected from Star Wars at this point.
Yeah, I can understand that.
What do you think, Frank? You're the big Star Wars guy here.
I mean, Anthony Daniels isn't going to play C-3PO forever, so getting a new actor in there, I understand that.
Yeah.
And if you don't get a guy that's perfect voice match, you can always tweak his voice a little bit.
Yeah.
And still have the same character. As long as his mannerisms and his goofiness is still the same, I don't have a problem with a different actor playing the person.
Yeah, really I think more people are concerned about what they're doing to the character rather than whether or not Anthony Daniels is going to be playing him forever.
Yeah, because the way it came off in the trailers is oh shoot,
3PO's dead.
They're killing off a robot.
Yeah, they're figured out a way. They figured out a way to kill 3PO. It's like, wow. But I mean, it's I guess at this point it's like six one way, half a dozen another. It's just I don't know. I like I said, I'm so disconnected from Star Wars now. I'm almost. I actually, we were talking about this after the wrestling show the other day. By the way, check us out this Thursday on the Wrestling Council. It's on Yule's channel this week, so check that out if you're a wrestling fan. I'm just so desensitized to Star Wars at this point. I'm just to the point where I'm like, just get done with this trilogy you're doing now, so we can move on to something else. And I think that's the way a lot of people feel about it. I don't know, like they're like, just get it done. We don't care anymore. Get it over with. Get it out of the way, and let's move on to something better. Which you hope to God that it's something better. But
well,
if
sorry,
no, go ahead.
But I'm interested in seeing. Speaking of something better, I'm interested in seeing how the Obi-Wan series plays out on the Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna get into the Mandalorian here in a minute, but the first episode of the Mandalorian, I was very pleasantly surprised. It is only the first episode, so we have no idea if it's just gonna go off a cliff. But if that's the level, if they can maintain that level through the entire series, it's going to be good. And if they do that with the Obi-Wan series, I'm down. I'm 100% down with that. But moving on from here. So Jonathan Hickman, who was kind of up and down with his run on X-Men prior to this new run that he's just started. He's actually done something that I didn't think Marvel would be capable of doing. He's got me interested in the X-Men again. And one of the things that he's done, like this article points out, is he's taken characters that didn't seem to matter, and he's made them matter. He's taken characters that seemed unnecessary or just background or just got chucked, because there's so many freaking X-Men, man. I think someone was actually talking about this the other day, that Mark Bagley did a cover recently where he did all of the characters who were X-Men, and there was something like 400 of them.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. And I'm like, half of those characters need to die now. But what Hickman did is he's actually, and look, he doesn't hit everything on all cylinders. He does occasionally trip up every once in a while. But he's trying to build an actual narrative out of the X-Men again after Marvel spent half a decade taking a crap on them. And he's got me interested in it. You know, I think sometimes he tries to be more clever than he actually is, but he's legitimately trying to build a universe where these type of people would exist. And one of the things he's doing is he's using these minor characters that originally no one gave a crap about, and he's making them actually matter. So some of the characters he's talking about. So the one I disagree with on this list is Sebastian Shaw. Shaw, I personally feel, has been an important character forever. He was the original Black King of the Hellfire Club. He may not have been one of their top villains, but he was important. I will say that they are doing a lot more character stuff with him in this run than in the past. In the past, he was just kind of like he was this villain. But you never really got like into his head or anything very much. This run is kind of going in that direction, and you're getting a little more insight into exactly who Sebastian Shaw is. He's still evil as hell. But the whole storyline, yeah. But the whole storyline they're doing, where basically at this point you're not really sure who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. In a lot of, some of them obviously, like Shaw, but like Xavier's acting really weird, and this storyline's got me. My prediction on the storyline is Xavier has been compromised by Moira McTaggart. Krakoa has been, because they're all living on Krakoa now, the living island. They're all living there now. The X-Men have basically declared Krakoa a sovereign nation. So it's an interesting storyline. But Shaw, I don't agree with Shaw on being on this list as being someone who wasn't important, but he is now. Gorgon. Gorgon has always been one of those lesser known Wolverine villains. But they're using him in a really interesting way now. They're using him kind of like he's one of their troubleshooters. It's like Wolverine's not the guy that they go to take care of all the ugly business anymore. Or he's not the only one. Gorgon is almost like one of these action teams, you know? He's like these strike teams that they'll send out to go get more mutants and bring them to this island. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him, but Gorgon is a pretty evil character, so the fact that he's rubbing elbows with good guys is really interesting. And I do think he's a character you could do a lot with, and I don't know why they didn't. Trinary, I understand why he's using her. Her power set makes her good as one of the characters to kind of be she's one of the root characters. She's one of those characters that because she's basically like a technomancer. She can control any computer system mentally, so she's kind of like a technomancer a little bit. And they're basically using one of the things he's doing is he's using characters in concert with each other to facilitate a greater end. So you've got characters that can create these portals, but they need to be able to network these things all over the world. So that's what they're using her for.
Oh, so you mean it's kind of like they're putting together, I don't know, like maybe some sort of team of mutants that's powers all kind of
work together.
So they can go do stuff together. Wow, that is such a novel idea. Yeah. Why haven't they done this before? So yeah, sorry.
No, it's the way that this character, she was basically a throwaway character, and now they're using her as it's possible that she's kind of like a hidden villain, because since she's able to do this, she can kind of get into everybody's information and she can manipulate things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way they're using her.
She's a character that 25 years ago would have been just, this is neat that you can do this stuff. But then in today's society, it's like, oh, crap.
Yeah. Like as wired as the world is, it's like, oh, damn.
Oh, we just handed you the whole world on a plate, didn't we?
Yeah. So Omega Sentinel, they haven't really done a whole lot with Omega Sentinel. I don't know why she's on this list. Actually, I do know why she's on this list, because she's part of the future storyline he did where she turns bad again, and she's part of Nimrod's group. Tempest is one of the it was interesting what they did with her, because she became part of this group called the Five. She's one of the Five are the integral part of this thing where they're basically able to resurrect any X-Men character that they want almost immediately. So basically what Hickman's done is he's taken death off the board as a storytelling device. They can literally make a new version of everybody. And she's one of the five of this group. They're known as the Krakoa Five. What they've basically done is they've taken these five characters whose powers, when they're united through there's another character named Hope who has the ability to kind of like combine everybody's powers together so that they work in perfect unison. And what they're able to do now is they're actually able to grow a perfect clone of anybody that's died. And because Xavier we find out that he's actually been backing up everybody's memories into Cerebro, he can immediately replant those memories into them, and a new version of that person immediately comes back. Now, me personally, I look at that and I go, okay, that creates a whole bunch of problems. If I were there, I'd be like, okay, no,
whoa,
dude,
whoa.
you just
Yeah.
you're acting like that means that these people can just go out there and die at will and come back, but that's not really what's happening. You're making copies of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can see about a dozen problems that would come from that, especially with some characters like Nightcrawler, who Nightcrawler is like a super hardcore devout Catholic. And if they is like, oh no, man, it's like, and they just did a storyline where Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, a whole bunch of them died, and they did this to them. If in my mind, a character like Nightcrawler would be like, no, this is an abomination. Like this isn't.
What did you do to me?
Yeah, I'd be like, what did you do? What have you done? You know, it's like, and it's almost like they're approaching this with this flippant approach to death, like it doesn't matter if we die anymore. And I'd be like, no, yeah, it really matters, because it's not going to be you that comes back. It's going to be someone that looks and acts like you, who thinks.
Hello, Durakin.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Durakin?
Durakin.
Appreciate you, everybody that stopped in here today, man. I appreciate it immensely, guys. Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah, it's Clone Wars. This is the other thing too. What's to stop them at some point from rationalizing? You know what? You know what's better than a Wolverine? 100 Wolverines.
No, that's a bad idea. Bad idea.
No, but like 100 Wolverines, psychically controlled, that just go in and just wreak havoc on our enemies.
Well, if you want to take that a step further, you know, if you want to solve a lot of problems, a new Magneto. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's the old one with the new one.
That's the other thing too. Make younger versions of them so they're at full power, stronger, better. You know, and actually, Hickman. This is why I'm really liking Hickman's run. The books that he did previous to this, the House of X and Powers of X. He laid the groundwork for the possibility that in the future, what they do is they start combining people. They start making characters. They're like characters that have the power sets of multiple people.
Yeah, fusing them together.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I see. Like I'm like he laid the groundwork for this long sprawling storyline, and he's starting to bring it to completion here. And it's one of the interesting things. Like I said, he's actually made me interested in X-Men again, which I didn't think was possible. But yeah, Tempest is one of those characters because she can create localized time alterations in time. She could slow them down and speed it up, and that's what she does. Is when they create these 100 Wolverines that you can program in any way you wish. That's a terrifying thought, man. Can you imagine an army that can regenerate? No army on Earth would be able to stand against it. But,
except another army of Wolverines.
Yeah, but they're the only ones who can do this.
Yeah, it doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to figure out or steal their stuff to do it.
Well, they can't do it without the 5. But that's a question that some fans have posed is what happens when one of the 5 dies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, tell me that since they're so important, they don't have backups of them already made. Just sitting somewhere waiting.
Although, you know, they also run into the thing there of, you know, they may have backups of themselves made, or some of them do. But you know, what if somebody like, you know, Nightcrawler, they do it to him, and then he's like, no, you can't do this to me. I'm out. What you did is wrong, and it affects one of them in enough of a way that they're like, yeah, I'm going to take care of my clone, and I'm out too.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, there's always a monkey wrench you can throw in.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where he takes this, because I could see like this just creating some really, really interesting storylines. But Goldballs, who at one point was the dumbest character ever made. He was this chubby guy who could make gold balls pop off of his body. Durakan said, the conundrum of cloning and digital backups is an interesting topic that we'll have to answer someday. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's going to come sooner than we think. I don't think it's going to come in our lifetime, but it's going to come sooner than the human race thinks. But this guy, he basically thought they were just these gold balls that he popped off into their metal, like some kind of like a metal. Turns out that they're actually non-viable eggs. And when they inject the DNA, and because of they got the DNA technology in stores from Mr. Sinister, who's also with them now. All the mutants are together now, the good ones and the bad ones, and they're all living on this island. So it's like that can't possibly go wrong. So they inject the DNA into these eggs. Tempest causes them to grow to full back to their former state, and then Xavier implants the memories into them. Like I said, it's like characters that didn't matter at all now matter, but it's going to be interesting, like you said, to see what happens when someone approaches them with the moral conundrums that we were talking about, or better yet, if someone does that and for some reason they don't react to it the way that they thought they would, does that mean that they're being mind controlled? Who knows?
Really?
They'll be here in our lifetime. We have them. They're just not perfected or public right now. Yeah, yeah, dude. I've done some a little bit of a deep dive into some fringe technology and stuff that's been going on, and there's some crazy shit. there's like that saying where it's like the technology that's available to the public now is like 20 or 30 years behind what's actually capable. It's actually more like 50. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of decades. Destiny is interesting because she can see into the future. Like I said, they can bring any mutant back from the dead. They said, we're not bringing her back. We ain't bringing her back because she can see into the future. She can see all the problems, and she can also see the BS that we're spewing, because they have actually shown that they are kind of lying about certain things. And she would be like, oh, no. And so they were like, yeah, she's such a security risk that they all said no. She's banned from being resurrected. Cypher, I actually liked Cypher. Cypher to me was a character that was woefully underutilized. He has the ability to speak and understand any language. And while that's not a very useful character in a fight or anything, that's a super useful character.
Pretty much anywhere,
anywhere else, yeah. It's because it doesn't just extend to like spoken languages. It's like computer languages, every kind of language that there is, and math is a language.
Mm-hmm.
So he's super intelligent, but because he's the only one who could speak to Krakoa, he's also now integral to everything that's going on. Durakan said, Nightcrawler is a kind of interesting thing because you've compared it with teleporting, and he's responded with, no, I travel through another dimension. I don't get ripped apart. Yeah. That's the thing. They were yeah, because there was actually an argument one time where it was like, well, you teleport, so when you teleport, your body is basically reduced to atoms and then it's brought back together, so you're technically not even the same person you were when you started. But Nightcrawler's like, no, I don't
just step through a door.
Yeah, that's literally it. I step through a door and I step out the other side. I'm still me. So it's going to be interesting, and I really hope that he is one of the focal points for the questions that come up with this, because being that he is extremely religious, he would have a serious problem with this. So then there's Krakoa, who it was revealed to actually be a mutant itself, and is basically now the mutant homeworld. And then Moira McTaggart. This is the one that really shocked me. So Moira McTaggart's always been this kind of background character. She was a geneticist. Obviously, she was married to Banshee. She was the adopted mother to Wolfsbane. But in this, they actually changed it so that she is a mutant, but her power is that whenever she dies, she immediately goes back. Her consciousness travels back to when she was in the womb, and she's born again with all the memories of her previous life.
Oh, that could really mess you up.
Yeah, and it did, and it actually did. They show one of her lives where she basically just goes crazy, and she's like, "I'm just going to kill the entire mutant race because I don't want this to go on." But she also becomes the focal point for. They see the future where Nimrod and the machines have basically wiped out the mutant race, not just mutants but humans. They're killing anything that isn't technological, biotechnological in nature, and she starts using her lives to try to counteract this, and that's what this current storyline is all about. Basically, she gets what she finally needs. She gets the final glimpse of Nimrod's ultimate, the end game, and she realizes that everything has to change, and we got to move things in a different direction if we're going to survive. And that's what she does. Is she actually approaches Xavier at a point when he was young, and she explains this to him, and she said, and she basically they plant these things that will take effect later. And so basically, she's the architect. She went from being a background character to being the architect of everything. So it's a really interesting idea. I was kind of like, I don't know about this at first, but as I read it, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. I'm kind of digging this. I don't even like that power that Moira was given. Even if I accepted that it's a cool power, it really should only go back to something in her teens, not her womb, since that's when the power should activate. Yeah, it's kind of weird like that, because I think they've kind of moved away from that in recent years. But originally, the idea was that your mutation would take effect at puberty.
Yeah, but hers already has.
Right, and I think that's what they're trying to say, is that because hers already activated, it's basically in a loop. And the interesting thing that they did put in here is it is finite. She's not going to keep doing this forever. Destiny actually told her that she has 10, maybe 11 lives, and then that's it. So it's not, and I think that the idea behind this is they realize that if somebody can do that, and they just keep dying and going back and fixing everything, they'd be unstoppable. So they're like, okay, we got to put a limit on this. We got to make this finite. So I think it's an interesting idea. Like I said, I wasn't on board with it either at first, Rock, and I thought it was kind of like, I don't know about this. But Hickman has done enough to get me interested in this to go, okay, I want to see where this goes, because this is going to be another one of those stories where it could be really cool all the way up to the end, and then the end could just absolutely suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is, dude. Like, she actually, like, every time that they start doing the, like, every time she starts using her lives to actually try to figure things out, the ending is bad, and she's like, yeah, I know, just do it. And like the very last one before, I think she's the life she's currently on is her last one. But the one before that, where they finally got what they needed and they were going to send her back, Wolverine like pops his claws and he's like, I'm sorry. She's like, that's okay. You're the best there is at this. So he freaking murders her to send her back. So it's like there's a line in one of the things where like her lives are nothing but pain and death in the end. So yeah, imagine you work out everything and get it perfect, then you die and have to do it again or let it go to hell. And that's actually something that they approached in that storyline, because like I said, at one point she just wanted it to stop. So she tried to wipe out the mutant gene. And then like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants caught her and they killed her for it. So
bad idea. Don't do that again.
Pretty much. And the way they killed her was interesting, because they like make it hurt so she remembers this. So they burned her alive.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was rough. But yeah, I'm like I said, this Hickman I'm gonna give the guy credit. He had some rough starts here and there. He's still not, I still think he's got a ways to go, but he's got me interested in the X-Men again. So hopefully this catches on and it gets better. I would love to see him teamed up with a superstar artist though. The artist he's with right now is okay, but I want to see him with someone like, Dave Finch or Brett Booth, someone like that. Okay. So, I went and saw. Well, I went and saw. Yeah, I went to the theater, man. So I downloaded Disney Plus. I got the free 7-day thing. I'm not gonna pay for the whole thing. I'm not gonna pay because I'm still not happy with Disney about the way that with the whole Ollie thing. I'm not gonna give them money until they address it. But I will do the free 7-day thing, and I did that, and I watched The Mandalorian. And I have to say, it did not suck.
Well, that's a hell of an endorsement.
Um,
Although, quite frankly, with what they've been doing with Star Wars lately, that's actually nice gold star for them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, yeah, this thing could have gone south really fast, but it didn't. And like I don't want to give. I'm going to try and talk about this without giving anything away, but I got some serious um Lone Wolf and Cub vibes from this show. The ending of it, there's a moment I'm like, that is straight out of Lone Wolf and Cub. So I'm wondering if Jon Favreau, who by the way was the guy who directed Iron Man and Iron Man 2, I'm wondering if that's what he's drawing his inspiration from. Because I'm a big fan of Lone Wolf and Cub. And if that is the case, then this show could be really, really cool. The first episode was really interesting. There was enough Star Wars stuff, like legit Star Wars stuff, to make you go, oh, okay, I recognize. Yeah, like the carbonite. This scene was actually really. This scene was really funny. But I know a lot of people have been saying that they're like, this is what we're getting instead of a Boba Fett movie, and you're right. This should be Boba Fett. This should be a Boba Fett film. Come on.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Maybe
I don't want to
just.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to show too much of it because I don't want to get another copyright strike. Which, by the way, tangent here for a second. I won my dispute. I got the video back, and then they copyright struck it again. Exact same thing again. Yeah. I was like,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, I was not pleased with that, man. I was so freaking angry. But yeah, it's just like the settings are really good here. Yeah, laugh at my pain, Durakan. Freaking BS, man, I tell you. But and then yeah, I found out that they have infinite appeals, but they don't even have to really appeal it.
They just strike it again.
They just the machine just automatically strikes it again. And I'm like, you guys freaking suck. And I hate you all. And yeah. Burn in hell. Anyway, I'm not bitter or anything.
No,
not at all.
Yeah, not in the least.
Um,
So Mandalorian.
so Mandalorian. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there
Yeah.
a second. All right, so basically, what starts off is he's on a basic hunt, and it's kind of reminiscent of the cantina scene where he walks in, he's not really messing with anybody, and someone comes up to him and starts messing with him. Um, Long story short, he kicks the crap out of him, obviously. Um, and then he picks up his bounty and he takes him back to this place. The cool thing about it is they're doing him like a legit Mandalorian. He never takes his helmet off, which is awesome. There's even a moment where somebody actually brings it up. It's like, is it true you guys never take your helmets off? And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So shut up.
Oh, it's got a stink in there.
Yep. And so that's the other thing too. They actually like, hey, this is how you go to the bathroom in Star Wars. The aliens that they did are really cool. Dude, there's a scene where there's like a bunch of Trondoshans. I'm like, oh, dude, it's one of those things. Like I said, there's enough nods to the original Star Wars that you get. Like, it's like this is definitely a Star Wars. This is definitely a Star Wars world. The fight scene is really cool. The scene with IG-88 with one of the IG-88s is awesome. The interesting thing is whether or not he's really he's a legit Mandalorian, because the idea behind the Mandalorians is that they didn't exist anymore. Because people don't realize this, but Fett was not that scene right there was so good. The IG-88 scene, man, that was so awesome. The only thing was they didn't call him IG-88. He didn't identify himself as IG-88. So it's like, is this really IG-88, or is this just because he just calls him a bounty droid? Yeah, he calls him a bounty droid. Mm. But and like I said, I'm thinking really hard about this because I don't want to give anything away. The ships are cool. The blaster fights are really cool. It is, like I said, it is only the first episode, so they haven't got real deep into the story yet. The setting of it is it's about, I think it's 5 years after the end of Return of the Jedi. And the galaxy is kind of in a weird state, because the Empire they say the Empire's gone, but not really. It looks like they're going to use this. They're kind of going to tell some of the backstory of how the Empire becomes the First Order, I think is what we're going to get from this. But There's a couple of little nods and hints to the other movies, and the thing that happens at the end, like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be one of those things where if they do it right, it could be really, really cool. But if they do it wrong, they are going to piss off everybody. It's like, oh, don't you mess this up. Don't you dare mess this up. And when you guys watch it and you see that thing at the end, Frank, did you watch this yet?
I did not yet.
Okay, I'm surprised, man. He said, you're the Star Wars guy. I
had a meeting this morning.
Oh, that's true. And this did just drop yesterday. So, when you see it,
I thought it dropped today. I thought Disney Plus started today.
No, it started yesterday. Well, it started at like midnight.
Oh yeah.
Midnight today. All right. You got me there. I was up till like 5 a.m. So, but the tech is good. The technology that he uses as a Mandalorian is in keeping with the Mandalorians. He's got the flamethrowers. He's got the armor. The armor is what's interesting is like one of the things that they've always talked about is how Mandalorian armor is like really tough, and it's made out of these weird metals that most people don't know about. They actually address that in this episode, which is really cool. What I'm wondering though is because, like I said, prior to this, to Disney buying Star Wars, it was indicated that the Mandalorians were gone. Because Fett was not a Mandalorian. He had Mandalorian tech, he had Mandalorian gear, but he himself wasn't a Mandalorian. This guy is a legit Mandalorian, and there's more than one. You actually meet another one. He goes to another one to talk to them. So it'll be interesting to see where they're going to take the Mandalorian lore in this other direction. But as far as this goes for a start, this was pretty good. I have to admit, I was genuinely impressed with this. I was expecting to go in this and be like, this is gonna suck, and it didn't. It was good. And if they keep going at this level, they might win some people back. So if you're willing to pay the money for Disney, like I said, I'm not, because of the whole situation with Ollie. I'm not going to pay for it. I will find another way to watch this. But yeah, I gotta say, this, I recommend. I have to give this a recommendation. This was good, and it remains to be seen if it, like I said, it is just the first episode. And if the Obi-Wan series follows suit with this, we could be seeing Star Wars make a comeback.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. But some of the scenes that we were seeing in this trailer haven't happened yet. Yeah, that gun is actually really interesting. But the so yeah, it's I hope it's good. I really do. Like, I want to talk about all the things that happen in it, because it's like, it's like that's just the way we do things around here, man. But I can't. I gotta let it be what it is. But
It's on day one.
Yeah, it's I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is gonna help you get through some hard times.
Yeah, after a couple weeks, spoilers are on you.
Yeah.
But the first couple of weeks, okay, yeah, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll wait at least a couple of weeks before I talk about this. But yeah, it should be interesting. Okay, on to the comic book review. Okay, so my comic book review this week is going to be The Dark Multiverse, The Death of Superman. So, if you have sorry about that. If you're a comic book fan, you know that The Death of Superman was a major event. And actually, some people actually say that, point to The Death of Superman as being the moment when comic books started moving into a bad trend, where it was all these big company-wide crossovers.
Everything had to be biggest, best, and now, and this is the ultimate, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and 300 different variant covers, yada 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 yada. But you can't deny that it was a major event. And was it last year or the year before? I think it was anyway, it was recent. They did the Batman Metal storyline, where we were introduced to the Dark Multiverse. Basically, it was like a cancer universe where all the worst things that could possibly happen happened. And that's where we got the characters, the Batman Who Laughs, who's being overused as hell now. Some people liked that storyline, some people didn't like that storyline, but it was absolutely a big major event, and it's one that they've begun to data mine. So recently, in one of the spin-off series from Metal, they did there was a character named Sideways, who was basically like DC's version of Spider-Man. Really good art, interesting enough character. Book didn't last very long. It's one of Dan DiDio's little babies. And in that, they introduced a character named Tempus Fugit. Tempus Fugit is basically DC's version of the Watcher. And Tempus Fugit is, he's this guardian who observes and monitors the Dark Universe, the Dark Multiverse. And he's basically the narrator for this story. They're going to do a series of these. I think the next one coming out is Blackest Night. And this is the first one. This is the one they started with. This book was actually really, really good. Some quick particulars for it. It is written by Jeff Loveness. It's illustrated by Brad Walker. Inks by Drew Hennessy and Norman Rapmund. It's nice to see Norman Rapmund still getting work. Colors by John Cleese. I apologize for butchering your name, sir. Letters by Clayton Cowles, and the cover was by Lee Weeks. So basically, just like in the original Death of Superman, Doomsday comes along, Superman fights him, and he dies. The actor director says, if I were to kill Superman, I'd blow him up with a kryptonite bomb implanted in his torso. Do you know what? Actually, one of the funniest things I ever saw was there was this series of cartoons where it was Superman killed Batman by basically they were both peeing in a stall, and Superman basically cut him in half or something. And then you find out that Batman had a contingency plan, and he basically, if his heart, it's contingency plan man again, man. And if his heart,
Superman.
if his heart ever stopped, a rocket would fire off into the sun and turn the sun's energy into kryptonite. And basically, it blows up, and there's a big bat symbol on the sun, and right as it's launching, Superman gets a letter, and then it basically has Batman telling him, I figured it would be you that killed me, so I decided if that ever happened, I was gonna launch this rocket into the sun and turn its rays into kryptonite. Enjoy melting, you asshole. So then you see Superman just starts to melt, and he's like, "Screw you, Bruce." But anyway, Tempest Fugit starts talking about how in this universe, unlike the regular DC universe, Lois Lane she basically breaks, and she blames all the other superheroes. Yeah, there's Tempest Fugit right there. He kind of looks like the Watcher. It's like such a ripoff. Anyway, she kind of blames all these heroes and for Superman dying. She basically like they come running, because at the end of his fight with Doomsday, they all the few of them that are left show up, and she's like, she's yelling at Batman in particular. She's like, "Where were you? You
Mr.
left
Contingency."
Yeah, like, you left him here. Where were you?" And and in my brain, I'm going, he's Batman. What's he gonna do against Doomsday? It's like that's like a normal, like going to a normal person, like after the Hulk wrecks your house, and go, "Where were you?" It's like, I was as far from here as I could possibly be. But anyway, she's distraught, and she's also not happy because at this point in time, nobody knew that she was Superman's wife. So at his funeral, she wasn't even able to get close to him. And all these things just kind of feed into this negativity with her. And at one point, she's at the Fortress of Solitude. And this is at the point in the original storyline, if you're familiar with the Death of Superman storyline, where the Annihilator shows up, and he's like, I'm too late, you know. He's like, and she's like, what are you talking about? He tells her, you know, I tried to come to protect him, like, you know, the Eradicator is a contingency plan. I called him the Annihilator, I screwed it up. The Eradicator is a contingency plan that if the last Kryptonian's about to die, he shows up and protects them. Well, he got there late. He tried to resurrect Superman just like he did in the comics, but it didn't work. He's still dead. So then Lois, and he's about to, the Eradicator can't contain this power for long. And so Lois tells him, use me. So he basically bonds with Lois. She becomes this dark version of Superwoman. And she basically blames the world. She said that the world didn't deserve him. They wasted his gifts, and, you know, all these evil people, they let these evil people continue. So she basically becomes like a Superman level version of the Punisher. And she starts going and getting all these villains, and she starts killing them. She just straight up starts executing them. And she starts with Lex Luthor. And she literally grabs Luthor and drags him into orbit and watches him burn. And as she does this, she begins to become more and more jaded, and she starts to see the other. She's like, the other heroes are ineffectual, and in fact, this world, it's not that they weren't willing to do what needs to be done for this world. This world doesn't deserve to be saved. And I'm going to make a better one. So she basically, it's almost like if you've ever played the Injustice video games, what happens to Superman in those, she becomes this totalitarian dictator almost.
Not almost, sounds pretty much that's what she is. Yeah.
But then it comes to the part in the story where the other Supermen start showing up, the imposter Supermen, the clone Superboy, the Hank Henshaw Cyborg Superman, the John Henry Iron Steel. They kind of it's not it is, but it's not, because the ending of it's is very different. And I don't want to give away the ending, but by the end of this story, she gets confronted with the fact that Superman is the way he is because that's what a hero is. Superman did what he did not because
he was Superman.
Because he was Superman, because he was the epitome of a hero. And she begins to realize that she is lost.
Oops.
Yeah. Like, she has become the antithesis of everything that he was.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is kind of like Injustice, but the difference is that at the end of it, she realizes she was wrong. But she's fallen so far at that point that she's beyond saving. And it's really interesting to see how it comes about, because it's like, damn. It's when she's confronted with it, it's not like in Injustice, Superman refuses to, like, he flat out doesn't think he's wrong. He believes he's right. At no point does he waver in that. In this, she absolutely 100% comes to realize, oh no, I have become everything that is the antithesis of what he believed in, and I'm wrong. But I'm beyond saving. So it's a really interesting read, man. I was really impressed with this. The artwork's pretty damn good. I'm interested to see where they go with the next one, though, because I'm almost 100% certain they're going to use this to build towards something. This character is going to show up again.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry about that.
Well, going to show up again at least twice probably, or even if it's in one story, the character will change dramatically during it. They will either show up trying to redeem themselves and then slip back to nope, I'm gone. I can't do this. Or they'll show up, as the bad guy, and then at the end go, oh, well, now I can redeem myself,
Yeah,
sort of
something like
thing.
that. I think because they're doing this whole storyline with the Batman Who Laughs, where he's infecting other heroes and stuff. I think that they're going to use this to kind of build towards a dark Justice League. I know they have a book already called Justice League Dark, but I'm talking about like a an evil Justice League or a semi-evil Justice League that actually doesn't want to be evil. Or that
We're
or that
working
or
on it.
that
Come on.
yeah, or that they're going to be brought in to counteract something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Possibly the Joker, the not the Joker, but possibly the
Laughing
Batman Who
Batman.
Laughs. Yeah. Durakan said, so like that episode of the animated series where Superman visits an alternate world where Lois has died and he sides with Lex. Kind of, yeah. It's definitely worth a look, man. I'm interested to see where they go with this, especially with Blackest Night, because Blackest Night is basically superpowered zombies, which I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little tired of that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two storylines currently running right now that have that in it, but yeah, I'm pretty much done with that. But yeah, I give Tales from the Multiverse thumbs up, man. Definitely check it out. Got anything this week, Tom?
Nah, I kind of skipped out on what I was going to do.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it soon. I'm going to review this Chris the Gift of Wrath by Ted Neffeth. Naifeh Neffeth.
Okay.
And oh god, another last name that I'm going to butcher. And Warren Wachnik. Definitely a Central European sounding name. But yeah, I read through it once pretty quick late at night, but I want to read through it again before I do a review of it. But it's pretty good. I did enjoy it, but I'll read through it again, and I will have next week a review because I just had a big Derby weekend. So
Yeah, I saw that you posted a bunch of stuff on that. Okay,
yeah, tons of games.
Frank, you got something you want to talk about real quick, or because we're like way over time?
Yeah,
we're way over time. Just they changed the
Oh God.
with Greedo and Han Solo again.
Yeah, I that was one of the Star Wars things I forgot about. Yeah, so
Clunky.
Disney Plus put Star Wars. Obviously, they put all the Star Wars movies up. They changed the scene with Han Solo and Greedo again. So now, not only does Greedo shoot first, he gets the last word.
McClunky.
Yep.
And what does that mean?
It just means that they continue to crap on my boy Han Solo.
Yeah.
No, I mean the last word. I mean what?
It's supposed to be a Huttese word.
Yeah, it's a Huttese word that means something. But it's just like, whatever, man. I don't care anymore. Like I said, stupid. But, okay. That's our show for today's, guys. I appreciate everybody that stopped in here. Durakan. My brain doesn't want to work. Abe Sapien. Everybody else that watches this later, please hit like, hit subscribe, share this out on social media. YouTube has been getting really screwy lately. They've been gumming up the works really bad. They're making it really, really hard for content creators, especially small content creators. So please, if you haven't already subscribed, shared it out, please do so. They're doing everything they can to just make everything next to impossible. But I do want to thank everybody that showed up today. It's greatly appreciated. You can always, and as always, you can find us right here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, check out the Wrestling Council this week, Thursday at 9 o'clock. I believe this week it's on Yule's channel.
What's that channel?
Yule's channel.
Do you know the name of it so people can?
No,
go to
it's just his name. It's literally just his name. But yeah, just go on Twitter and look up the Wrestling Council, and you'll see it on there. Yeah, and more than and as and I swear I know how to talk. But yeah, we need as much help as possible getting around YouTube these days. But and also leave a comment. Leave a comment below, guys. It helps us figure out what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. And we will see you guys next week. So until then, I'm Comic Book Bob.
I'm Tom.
That's Frank. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for being here, guys.
All right, take care.
Peace.